Welcome to the Mind Body Healing Channel audiobook series brought to you by New Bellum Research. This audio episode is the new Placebo Handbook. Chapter 1. A Short History of Placebo. For millions of years, we humans have survived because our minds are capable of changing our internal chemistry in response to our experiences, beliefs, and acquired knowledge. If you have ever been startled by an unexpected noise or unexpected movement in your peripheral vision, you have experienced your brain's independent ability to take physical action to improve your survival chances. Your brain doesn't wait for proof of danger, it responds to your belief of a potential danger. In a similar way, the use of placebos are medical treatments that send a message to your brain to respond to your instructions. These instructions are powerful enough to improve your condition or worsen your condition, depending on the contents of the message. Placebo is a Latin word meaning "I will please you." The first use of the word was in 1772, coined by an English physician named Alexander Sutherland. Dr. Sutherland felt he needed some kind of treatment to offer patients who demanded that he prescribe something, anything, even if there was no known treatment for their symptoms. Placebos were prescribed with the intention to calm patients, not to heal them. The 18th century was a time of great scientific discovery. Physicians and businessmen around the world were looking for new medical cures based on the latest science of the day. In 1795, a physician named Elisha Perkins, who practiced in Plainfield, Connecticut, invented a set of 3-inch long metal rods, one made of steel and the other of brass. Dr. Perkins claimed the special alloys in his patented invention, Perkins patent tractors, were capable of drawing out malignant energy from the body and could cure inflammation, rheumatism, and any other type of nonspecific aches or pains. The treatment was simple enough. Hold the tractors in your hand and rub them along the area in pain for 10 to 20 minutes a day. Although he was kicked out of the Connecticut Medical Society for derisive quackery, thousands of people bought his product and found relief. George Washington, the first president of the United States, owned a set of Perkins tractors. In 1799, as news of the Perkins tractors reached England, a prominent physician named John Haygarth decided to test the treatment on his patients. But instead of using the authentic metal rods, he created identical imitations made of wood, and he painted them each to appear identical to authentic Perkins tractors. He studied the treatment protocol suggested by Dr. Perkins and used the protocol to treat his own patients' pain symptoms. To Dr. Haygarth's surprise, the wooden imitations actually worked quite well. Patients reported their pain went away, many of them no longer needed a cane to walk, and for some patients, their gait returned to normal, without a limp. He published his findings in 1799 to his colleagues in a book titled, On the Imagination as a Cause and as a Cure of Disorders of the Body. In his book, Dr. Haygarth concluded that indeed the Perkins tractors did help patients feel better, some patients much better. But he also proved there was no scientific reason to believe the special alloys Dr. Perkins claimed in his patent were the source of the healing. Instead, he noted that the patient's belief in the cure, or their trust in the physician, or possibly their hope alone, or any combination of these were the source of the cure. His book attributed the healing to the mind's own power of imagination. For the next 150 years, thousands of questionable medicines were marketed for all kinds of ailments and even diseases. Many treatments worked well on some symptoms, and others failed miserably. Treatments for viral and bacterial infections, cancer, and even blindness were sold to the masses, many of them containing opium, cocaine, or alcohol as their true active ingredient. Early in the 20th century, regulatory agencies like the US FDA found themselves responding to the most dangerous of these remedies, and in 1938 the United States signed into law the 1938 Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act. This law required companies that sold drugs to show evidence of drug safety prior to marketing the drug. By the end of World War II, it was clear that simply requiring companies to collect safety data alone was not enough to prevent deceptive and useless treatments from being sold on a mass scale. Many of the drugs that companies claimed had been tested for safety turned out to be less than safe, and even deadly. Some of the safety tests companies claimed to have performed never even took place. But it wasn't until 1962 that the U.S. FDA convinced the U.S. Congress to establish a series of laws that required all drugs to first be proven safe, then proven effective, and finally, be continuously monitored in the marketplace for safety. One of the provisions of these laws require that companies test their drugs against placebo treatments using the exact same protocols, clinics, and patient population as the drug under investigation. And since 1963, nearly every drug that has been approved by the U.S. FDA had to prove it could outperform a placebo treatment used in the same clinical study. Placebo studies have made a dramatic impact on drug approval since 1963. Many drug treatments once thought to be effective have been shown they are no more effective than placebo treatments. And many placebo treatments have proven to be just as effective as the drug being studied in 50% to 100% of people who use them. In the same way John Haygarth proved that Perkins tractors were effective pain relievers, drug companies have learned some of their top-selling drugs are only effective because they trigger a placebo response in the patient's mind. Because the placebo response in humans can be dramatic, researchers over the past 20 years have begun to look deeper into their actions by studying the human brain. Even as hundreds of studies have already shown that placebo can be an effective treatment for a wide variety of conditions, advances in brain science are uncovering exactly how placebos operate to affect our brain activity performance response. In particular, researchers are using tools that observe changes in the brain's chemistry as it responds in real time to drugs and placebo treatments. Researchers have discovered that placebos trigger the brain to release the same molecules that drugs target when they trigger a healing response. In other words, placebos can unlock the brain's pharmacy, using a treatment containing nothing more than the patient's own perception of receiving a treatment. More recently, researchers have discovered that placebos are effective even when the patient knows they are receiving a placebo treatment. That means even when you know you are taking a placebo, it can be as effective as a placebo disguised as a drug. This finding was surprising to many scientists, but it helped establish a better understanding of how much more control a patient has over their well-being than previously thought. As the science of the mind's influence on our own health evolves alongside the information revolution, patients have access to the same body of knowledge physicians share with each other. Each of us can achieve a broader understanding of our own well-being. Each of us has access to an unprecedented quantity and breadth of information, as well as easy-to-use search tools that put the latest scientific findings at our fingertips. Even more empowering, software tools that enable self-investigation of one's ongoing health and wellness are now available to anyone with a mobile device. We are at the threshold of an entirely new field of study: self-healing. In this new paradigm, anyone can become an investigator of their own health, seeking to harness the mind's healing power in amazing ways.